The sound that broke my marriage wasn't a scream. It was a quiet, wet gurgle. The sound of a newborn baby, wrapped in a hospital blanket, placed gently into my husband's trembling arms. Her name, he said, was Lily. His eyes, when he finally looked at me over her tiny head, were oceans of guilt and a desperate, pleading hope. "Sophia," he whispered, his voice raw. "I'm so sorry. The mother, she can't do this. She's gone. Please. She's innocent. She needs a mother. We could be her parents. His name is Daniel." We'd been married for 12 years. We had a beautiful, quiet home, careers we loved, and a lingering, unspoken grief for the children we'd never been able to have. The affair had been a knife in the dark 6 months prior. A co-worker, he'd said. A stupid, meaningless mistake. I'd chosen, with a shattered heart, to try and forgive, to rebuild. And now, this, the living, breathing, undeniable proof of his betrayal, presented not as a sin to atone for, but as a gift to accept. A ready-made family to paper over the cracks. "She needs a mother," he'd said. Not, "I need your forgiveness." Not, "I will spend my life making this up to you." He was framing his ultimate betrayal as our shared salvation. The audacity was breathtaking. I looked at the baby. She was perfect. A shock of dark hair, rosebud lips, a tiny, helpless life. And looking at her, I felt nothing. Not hate, not love. A great, hollow void where my maternal instincts were supposed to roar to life. All I could see was the lie, the betrayal, the casual way he was trying to make his mess my responsibility. "Let me hold her," I said, my voice strangely calm. Relief flooded his face. He thought he'd won. He thought my silence, my extended hands, were surrendered. He passed me the baby. She was light, fragile. I looked from her innocent face to Daniel's hopeful, repentant one. The math in my head was cold and clear. His affair had started 9 months ago. He'd confessed to a 3-month fling. This timeline fit. It was his story, and he was sticking to it. But Daniel was a terrible liar. He always had been. His tilt was, in the eyes, a slight overcorrection, a tyrannous insistence. When he'd told me about the affair, he'd looked me dead in the eye and said, it was only ever her. It felt like a line. A rehearsed line to contain the damage. What if the damage was bigger? I could at the baby. I rocked her. I played the part of the gracious, forgiving wife for the social worker who came to finalize the emergency temporary guardianship. I signed papers. I bought a bassinet. I did everything expected. And inside, the hollow void began to fill with a new, chilling certainty. I was being played, not just emotionally, logistically, while Daniel was at work, playing the proud, repentant, new father. I began to dig. The mother, Elena, was a ghost. No social media. A forwarded, vague email from her saying she was unwell and couldn't cope. It was too clean. Daniel, the man who needed reminders to back up his phone, had somehow navigated a secret pregnancy, a birth, and a smooth adoption pitch with military precision. No, he'd had help. Or he was following a script. My first stop was a private investigator. A discreet, older woman named Gwen. I need everything on my husband, Daniel Reed, for the last 15 months. Financials, phone records, the works, and I need a DNA test. The most comprehensive, court-admissible paternity test you can get, without him knowing. The next week was a performance worthy of an Oscar. I changed diapers. I warmed bottles. I let Daniel take pictures of us, a happy, new family. He basked in it, thinking his gamble had paid off, that his sin had been cleverly converted into a blessing. Every smile I gave him felt like a suture pulling tight across the gaping wound of my distrust. Gwen's first report came in fragments. Daniel's credit card showed a series of cash withdrawals every month for the past year, $500, like clockwork. Not enough to raise flags, but a pattern. His phone records showed consistent, brief calls to a single unlisted number for the 9 months of the pregnancy, then silence after the birth. The number was a prepaid burner. Then, the bombshell. A grainy traffic camera photo, enhanced Daniel, 8 months ago, getting into a car, not with a young co-worker, with a man, A man I recognized with a jolt of ice in my veins. Marcus Thorne, Daniel's old college roommate, a charming, unscrupulous real estate developer who'd always given me the creeps. The man who'd once joked, "If you ever want to fake an inheritance, I know a guy." The pieces didn't just fall together. They assembled into a monstrous, chilling picture. This wasn't a simple affair. This was a transaction. The DNA test kit arrived. Collecting the sample from the baby was easier cheek swab while she slept. Getting one from Daniel required happening. I staged a fight, a blow-up about the affair, about my resentment. In the heated, tearful aftermath, he stormed out, leaving behind a half-drunk water glass. Perfect. I bagged it, saliva and all. Shipped both samples to the lab. The wait was agony. Lived in the grotesque pantomime of domestic bliss. Daniel grew more confident, even hinting at making the guardianship permanent. We could adopt her, Sophie. She could really be ours. The day the email from the lab arrived, my hands were so cold they could barely type the password. I opened the PDF. The words swam before my eyes. Conclusion. Based on the analysis of 24 genetic markers, Daniel Reed, alleged father, is excluded as the biological father of the child designated as Lily. Probability of paternity, 0.00%, a zero. A perfect, absolute zero. But the report had a second page. At my request, and for an extra fee, they had run the baby's DNA against a familial database, looking for close relatives. There, under possible paternal match, was a name, not a stranger, not a random coworker. Marcus Thorne. 99.7% probability of paternity. I read it 3 times. The room tilted. It wasn't just a lie, it was a conspiracy. A husband and his slimy friend had concocted a scheme. Marcus had gotten someone, pregnant a girlfriend, a surrogate, who knew and didn't want the responsibility. Daniel, desperate to keep me after his affair, saw a way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Give Marcus an out, and present me with the baby we couldn't have. Cementing my place in a marriage built on a foundation of quicksand. They'd used a child, a living, breathing child, as a bargaining chip, a prop. The hollow void inside me evaporated, replaced by a fury so pure, so focused. It was like a white-hot laser. They thought they were so clever. They thought I was just a wife, a woman, ruled by emotion and a desire for a family. They had no idea who they were dealing with. I printed the report. I made 2 copies. I placed one in a sealed envelope addressed to my lawyer. The other I held in my hand. Then I went to the nursery. I picked up baby Lily, Marcus's daughter Anne. I carried her into the living room where Daniel was watching the game. A picture of paternal contentment. "Daniel," I said, my voice like polished stone. He muted the TV, smiling up at me. "Hey, sweetheart, what's up?" I laid the DNA report on the coffee table in front of him. Then I handed him his daughter. "Your best friend," I said, each word a nail, "owes you about 9 months of child support. And you have exactly 1 hour to get out of my house." For a long moment, Daniel didn't move. He just stared at the paper, his brain refusing to decode the words that spelled the end of his carefully constructed lie. I watched the journey on his face, confusion, then dawning comprehension, then a slow, sickening horror that turned his skin the color of old milk. His eyes flicked from the report to the baby in his arms, to my face, which was no longer a mask of quiet compliance, but a monument of cold, unveiled truth. This is a mistake," he stammered, his voice a thin, reedy thing. "The lab, they mixed up the samples." "They didn't," I said, my tone conversational, almost pleasant. "I used the court-admissible lab. I sent you a sample from the glass you left after our fight. The one where you pretended to be the wounded party." I let that sink in. Marcus Thorne, 997%. "Seems your little arrangement with your college buddy was more intimate than you led me to believe." The baby Lily began to fuss. He looked down at her as if seeing a foreign, dangerous object. This was the child he'd begged me to love, the keystone of his redemption arc. And she wasn't his. She was a receipt for his stupidity and Marcus's carelessness. "Sophia, please, let me explain," he begged, but the fight was gone. He had no script for this. "Explain what?" I asked. tilting my head. How you and Marcus cooked up. This pathetic scheme. How you thought you could pawn off his accidental child as your own tragic mistake to glue our marriage back together. Did you draw straws to see who would have to pretend to be the cheating father? Or did Marcus just pay you? His silence was all the confirmation I needed. It had been a transaction, a business deal, where the currency was a human life and my trust. Get out, Daniel. The pleasantness vanished from my voice. You have 1 hour. Take what is yours, leave what is mine, and take her. I nodded to the baby. She's your responsibility now. You signed the temporary guardianship papers. You wanted a child so badly. Congratulations. You're a father, just not in the way you advertised. Panic truly set in. Then I can't take a baby. My apartment, my job, not my problem, I said, turning away. You should have thought of that before you decided to commit fraud and emotional warfare. The clock is ticking. I've already called the locksmith. I left him sputtering in the living room and went to my office, locking the door. I could hear him scrambling, the sound of drawers opening and closing, frantic phone calls, undoubtedly to Marcus, whose number would now be going straight to voicemail. I had already taken care of that. An hour later, I heard the front door close with a heavy, final thud. The silence that followed was immense and peaceful, but I wasn't done. Revenge, to be complete, must be served to all parties. I had planned my next moves while Daniel packed. I activated Phase 2. First, I emailed the DNA report to every member of Daniel's family who had sent me gushing messages about God's plan and beautiful forgiveness. I included a brief, factual note attached as the paternity test for the child Daniel asked me to raise. As you can see, the child is not his. The biological father is his friend, Marcus Thorne. This was a coordinated deception. I will not be participating in this fraud. I trust this clarifies the situation. Let them sit with that hypocrisy. Next, I contacted the family law attorney I'd retained a week prior. We filed an emergency motion to vacate the temporary guardianship due to fraud and misrepresentation. We attached the DNA report and the investigator's notes on the cash withdrawals and the calls to the burner phone. The case was a slam dunk. By the end of the day, a judge had severed my tenuous legal link to the child. She was Daniel's problem and, ultimately, Marcus's. Then, I turned my attention to the real puppet master, Marcus Thorne. I didn't threaten him. I didn't demand child support. I simply forwarded the DNA report to 3 places: his fiance's email, his most conservative investor, and the HR department at his prestigious real estate firm, with a note, for your records. Regarding the paternity of a child currently in the care of your associate Daniel Reed, ensuring all parties are operating with full transparency. I knew his world reputation was his currency. I had just devalued it by half. The fallout was swift and spectacular. Daniel, now solely responsible for an infant that wasn't his, was fired from his job for personal issues impacting performance. His family, embroiled in scandal, offered him no help. He was droning. Marcus' single quotes engagement was called off. His investor pulled out of a major deal, citing ethical concerns. The quiet, respectable veneer of his life was shattered. As for me, I sold the house. The home that held the ghost of a marriage that had never been real. I took the money and moved into a bright, modern apartment with a view of the city, a space that was only and entirely mine. The final piece came a month later. A certified letter arrived from a law firm representing the child's maternal grandmother, who had been located by my investigator. She was seeking custody of little Lily. I forwarded all my information to her lawyer. The child would have a home with a family that wanted her, not as a tool or a trap, but as a person. I am Sophia. When my husband begged me to raise his affair, child I DNA tested the baby. The test revealed no affair. It revealed a conspiracy. They thought they could weaponize my grief and my desire for a family. They thought I would be too emotional to see the truth. They were wrong. I used science to dismantle their lie, and then I used the truth to dismantle their lives. My revenge wasn't loud, it was clinical. It was the quiet, irreversible act of revealing the real paternity on paper to their families and to the world. They didn't just lose a wife or a facade. They lost control of the narrative. And in the end, the truth was the only parent that child ever really needed.